Hey everyone. One of the things we're trying to do in this class is help you all connect what you learn about argumentative, research-based paper writing and creative, engaging storytelling, and sort of put those two things closer together. And so I want to kind of talk you through that for introductions when it comes to writing introductions. So I'm going to very quickly show you 3 documents that I put up on Moodle, point a few things out to you for each of them, and then leave it to you to dig into those more deeply and ask me questions about things later. So let's start with a handout. Called Developing Good Problem Statement Introductions. And I'm not going to read all of it through, but I'll quickly just go through these parts. A prelude, which is sort of like a hook or story that gets your reader thinking about the topic of your paper without giving away your main claim. The stable context, which is a statement about the way things have been done or understood previously. And this stable context or status quo view of the problem is what you will challenge in your paper. So this is a place where you put on the page a kind of fairly expressed description of the view that you're going to push back against in your paper. The destabilizing condition is a description of a predicament, a question, or a fact that unsettles the stable context. Consequences, a statement about the cost for the reader of leaving the problem unresolved and or the potential rewards of resolving it. And then the resolution, this gives your reader the solution or answer to the problem raised by the introduction. Sometimes it's best to give only a hint or the gist of the resolution. Usually the resolution is fully stated in the last sentence of the intro, where it also serves as the main claim or thesis that you will support with reasons and evidence in the rest of your paper. Okay, so each of you are raising different kinds of questions or problems in your papers, and they're good ones. I've talked to enough of you about them to know this is true. You can think of Mark's presentation, Why Do Men Buy Trucks? Some of you are writing about how we learn the gender norms that we have inherited, why we call some things drugs and not other things, whether athletes should speak out about politics or not. These are all different questions that you all are raising in your papers, and this set of categories gives you a way of kind of raising that question for your reader, describing how other people have answered that question, and then setting the stage for how you will answer that question in your own paper. Okay, so these 5 things, prelude, stable context, destabilizing condition, consequences, and resolution, are things that you can put in your intro in this order in 1 or in several paragraphs. Okay. The second handout that I want you to look at is just a handout of sample introductions that I've gleaned from old student papers. So here's one that will give you just a really quick way of seeing how these pieces or parts fit together. The Simpsons is this, who knows how many of you know about The Simpsons, but you can Google it if you don't know the show. The Simpsons seems to be the story of a fractured, chaotic, sometimes violent family, stable context. However, this interpretation fails to explain why the Simpson family does so many things together: vacations, family dinners, and church, destabilizing condition. If we continue to see the Simpsons merely as a dysfunctional family, we'll never understand the show's real meaning and appeal. Those are consequences. In fact, The Simpsons represents a very traditional approach to family values. Okay, that's the resolution, main claim, or we could say thesis of this paper. So this is as bare bones an introduction as you can get. It doesn't have a kind of story or prelude to kind of welcome the reader in. You could imagine this writer just telling the story of one Simpsons episode, maybe. But what I want you to notice is really important is the stable context here. The Simpsons seems to be the story of a fractured, chaotic, sometimes violent family. That word seems is doing a lot just to signal to the reader that this may not be the author's view of what The Simpsons is really like, right? So this is, again, an on-the-page, fair, accurate description of a view that this paper writer is actually going to push back against. And I would say that for all of you, when you're writing your paper, if you can't do that, if you can't write that stable context, that status quo view that you're arguing against onto the page, then you probably haven't thought very clearly yet about what your thesis is. And so the more work you do to sort of write this down, the clearer I think you'll get about your thesis here at the end. Okay, and again, these other parts are just to help you sort of move through and really set the stage so your reader appreciates that last sentence of the intro and catches your main claim. So what I have on here are a whole series of introductions following this model. They get more and more elaborate and longer. So there's some on baseball here, you can see. And again, you can read through these slowly just to get a feel for how all these parts are working together. All right, the third thing I want to show you is this collection of stories that I've just written out very briefly that follow this same pattern. Okay, in a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. Prelude. Bilbo passes his time at home happily enough, eating bread with jam in the morning and smoking his pipe in the evening. Stable context. One day, a stranger in a gray cloak left a mark on the hobbit's door. That is the destabilizing condition, like the fact, the thing that upsets the stable context. Many dwarves knocked on the hobbit's door, came in, ate his food, abused his dishes, and talked of treasure and adventure. Consequences, good and bad. The hobbit left his home and joined the company of dwarves as an expert thief. Okay, that's the resolution of this problem of the dwarves' arrival and sort of uncertainty about whether he should stay at home or not. Okay, and then I've given some other examples here, which you're welcome to read. Here's one, Peter, Edmund, Susan, and Lucy, where I kind of quickly summarize the beginning of the Chronicles of Narnia. A Harry Potter example, an example from Black Panther, the end of Black Panther. And then this is like a personal story of going to visit my grandfather's house after he passed away with my dad and my brother. Okay, so in each of these, I think if you read those sample introductions for the research papers, and then read these like brief descriptions of stories that you might be familiar with, you'll see, I think, that argumentative structure that I'm giving you for the intros corresponds in important ways with this pretty common story structure where we raise questions, we kind of identify conflict, and we hint at possible solutions to that conflict. Okay, so I think these three things together, the handout, the sample paper intros, and these sample stories will help you sort of recognize the different moves you're making in your own paper. And again, not just for this class, but I think for your classes going forward. Okay, that is a lot to take in. I know, especially this really, really busy time in the semester, but if you've got a half an hour, 40 minutes to sort of just dig into those handouts and then go back to your paper and revise what you've done, I think it'll be really useful. It will also really help you when it comes time for the presentation, when you're thinking about what to put on those slides. Those introduction parts can be a great set of slides that you give to us at the beginning of your presentation. So that's another way that these can be really useful. Okay, that's it. I hope that's helpful. Hang in there with your work. And I'll talk to you later.